So let me talk about the postal reform. First, about the post office. About the post office. The post office is not a business. It is a public utility, and we need to think of it as a public utility, that which provides universal service to keep the juice and electricity of our economy going. And if we think of it as a public utility, mandated by a national interest to provide universal service, then that's the way we should think about it. Will it require subsidy? Yes. Does it require an open checkbook? No. Does it require reform? Yes. But the post office has reformed itself. From the days of Pony Express to the days of today. They had to face the challenge when they invented Western Union. They faced the challenge when we had a telephone. Why do we need the post office? Time and time again, the post office is needed to reform. It's time to reform again. But if we're going to reform, we need to make sure we provide safeguards to protect rural communities, to protect small business, and to protect vulnerable populations that don't have access to the internet. We have a digital divide in the United States of America. We don't have a universal super information highway in the United States of America. We do have a digital divide, and the divide is coming because of both geography, and it comes because of income. Not everybody walks around with these cool 500 devices. So people rely on the post office for correspondence, for paychecks, for the delivery of products that have been ordered over the internet, those eBay entrepreneurs that we know about. Small business relies on them for time-sensitive business documents and time-sensitive delivery of products. This is even more important for rural areas. Rural areas have a unique geography, and that can complicate mail delivery or delay. I represent the mountain counties of Western Maryland. At times that weather is so rugged up there, you need a snowmobile to get through. Then there is the Eastern Shore, the beautiful, dynamic, charming Eastern Shore. But it's 9 counties stretching over 150 to close to 200 miles. Sometimes in places they don't even have cell phone coverage. Reduction to delivery standards, closing a post office, and most of all, closing a process center would have draconian impact. So in my state, we are very concerned about this. Now, we're willing to do reform. We were willing to close a processing center in Western Maryland and work with Pennsylvania and West Virginia, bordering states, to do this. But now, Madam President, they want to close the Easton Processing Center. It is the only processing center on the Eastern Shore. It is the only mail processing center serving 9 counties. In order to use the processing center in Baltimore, it's miles away and across the Bay Bridge. Then there is this whole issue of merging it with Delaware. Delaware is 9 counties away from Somerset County. Over 150, close to 200 miles. This operation of this Eastern Shore postal facility, processing facility, is absolutely crucial. Everybody says, oh, we just love the Eastern Shore. Well, I love it too, but I want it to have business. I want my senior citizens to be able to get their prescription drugs by mail, and get it on a timely basis. It is a community of small business. That's what the Eastern Shore is. Even our big business of poultry and seafood is made up of small entrepreneurs involved in this. They need a post office, and they need to have it accessed on the Eastern Shore. So last February, the post office, in its unique way, announced the closing. Senators Cardin and myself asked for hearings. The post office responded in a very dismissive way. They just dismissed not only Cardin and Mikulski, but they dismissed the 500,000 residents who live on the Eastern Shore and who rely on this. When I asked them if they'd even hold a hearing so that farmers and small business and seniors could voice their voices. They said they'd heard all that they needed. They had no intention of holding a hearing. Well, Madam President, my constituents have a right to be heard. They have a right to standards of delivery service, and they have a right for me to fight for them, and I'm going to fight for them. But I'm also going to fight for postal reform. The way Senator Merkley wants to improve the bill, so do I. I have 4 amendments pending to get the post office to make sure that they not only look what they're doing right now, they look at what is the impact of what they're doing on the post office. Senator Barb looks at the impact that they're having on the customer and on the community. Remember, think of it as a public utility, and we're turning the lights off on the Eastern Shore. So my First Amendment says no processing center can be closed unless a governor from the state certifies that a closure won't harm the community or disrupt commerce. My Second Amendment says no processing center can be closed unless an independent third party, like the Commission, talks about the impact on jobs, unemployment rate, and small business, and to make the study public. My third maintains a standard of delivery for overnight. On that Eastern Shore, my veterans need their medical care, my seniors need to be able to get their Social Security checks, and also business. You know, parts of this come through this processing center or even live birds. Are they going to sit around and go back and forth to Baltimore? Man, does that ruffle my feathers. I can tell you that right now. And fourth, it's strictly zip code politics. I will offer an amendment to prevent the closing of the Easton Post Office. If my other 3 amendments prevail, I think we have it. So it's not just my criteria, it's what Merkley and all of us are talking about. The post office is a public utility. When you look at the impact of closing, not only on the impact of what the post office saves, but what the community loses, and is it worth the cost? I don't want to turn the lights out on the Eastern Shore, but I do want to keep the lights of the post office going. So in the spirit of compromise and conversation and civility that marks the leadership of this committee, I want to work with the leadership to see if I can be accommodated. I want to, again, congratulate Collins and Lieberman on their leadership and on just their whole civilized way, and also to Senator Sanders for doing this. So, Madam President, I think I've made my point, and next time the post office should listen more to the people, or they'll hear more from Senator Barb.